And we're live.
Expected.
And we're
Oh,
oh
God damn
no!
it. Every
Reggie Ruler
time.
beat me to the punch. Dang
Another
it!
another fantastic start to the podcast.
Well, I'm
So
never ever doing the
professional.
stilted "Hello, da 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 da" opening again. So
Dur,
fantastic.
dur, 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 dur.
Hello. This is the ToonamiGAF podcast, episode 15. Standard people here tonight: Grexino, Seda, B-Dubs, and our
Hello.
guest tonight is Reggie Ruler.
Hello.
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 I have a voice finally.
Finally,
Now you know what
after
he sounds like.
Hello.
yeah, you might be the deepest person yet.
Okay.
Although Girate was surprisingly deep.
I thought it was Jerry.
Whatever.
You
Karate.
can
Like,
tell.
it's Jirate, kind of like karate.
I'm.
To put a J.
I
His
can't.
J
There's
is
only
better.
two possible ways to pronounce my name logically, so.
J is better than K.
So there wasn't really any news this week, so we'll probably just get right into the block, except
Well, I
for.
mean, there is that sort of tangentially related news that apparently they're talking about a Pokemon live action movie, but that can't possibly end well.
It's gonna suck. Apparently, it will be written by Max Landis, who wrote the Fantastic Four movie last year. So,
He only did Chronicle. Hang on.
I mean, it's like, okay, is it gonna be Chronicle or is it gonna be Fantastic Four?
Who
If it
can
was
tell?
Chronicle, there's
Oh,
some
no.
hope,
He
but
was. He didn't do Fantastic Four.
he
Hang
didn't.
on. No, he did Chronicle, American Ultra. Oh, he did Victor Frankenstein. Oh, never mind. We're
I don't
screwed.
even. Nobody remembers that movie.
Oh, he's doing Dirk Gently.
Huh?
Dirk
I don't know.
Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
I don't know any of these movies.
I don't know
I
any
was
of
going to
these.
say either.
It's the detective books by the guy who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Okay. That gives me an idea.
Yeah. Oh, he's doing Power Rangers.
Go,
Oh
go,
no.
Power Rangers.
Yeah, that's gonna be a thing.
That
I
movie's gonna
completely forgot
blow
about that.
chunks.
Oh God, the costumes.
I think it's going to be
forgot
like
about that.
it's going to be an okay-ish, maybe 40, 50 Rotten Tomato thing where some people like it and it's not
What the hell?
completely awful.
It'll be competent.
There's this Zordon film. Are you kidding me?
What the
From
fuck?
It's from last year.
A what?
This
I don't know what Zordon is.
He's the cloud
He's
dude.
he's the head in the tank from Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm like, why would they think this is a thing they should do?
I mean, they're making a Gambit movie.
Well, yeah, okay, but I mean, at least Gambit has people that want to see his thing. But I've never
Yes,
even.
all 5 of them.
Yeah, all of them post on GAF.
So there
Jesus
was a
Christ.
lineup promo this week.
Oh, it's a fan film.
It's
Never.
yeah, of course
That
it is.
explains it.
I mean, so yeah, there was a lineup promo this week.
Yes, there
I
was.
noticed it. It uses the same music that was last used in the first promo that had Attack on Titan,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a pretty fantastic promo. So just this music they used for the promo was just so good.
Yeah, it was
The one
good.
Punch promo?
No, the lineup promo.
Oh, okay.
It only aired during Dragon Ball Z Kai, so might have missed it.
No, I saw the promo. I was just making sure which promo you were talking about.
yeah, it
The
was a pretty
music
good one.
The music is fantastic, but in terms of lineup promos this year, it's still the first one for me from January.
They actually haven't done a lot of lineup promos this year.
Actually, they've been doing several. Because so
It's really easy to miss them, is all.
yeah, sometimes they
They
don't
do-
even air
Well,
properly.
yeah. Oh, yeah, I think that's it. Is they do a lineup like promo whenever they get a new show, basically. But
And then
sometimes
they put it on YouTube.
I don't think they all have aired.
Sometimes they decide to run the promo for the show 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
if it's like, we'll run it during Dragon Ball Z Kai and then forget to run the lineup promo later.
I think
But
the
yeah,
only
they've
time
had-
they've run the show
Sorry.
promo multiple times was, I feel like the last time it was Attack on Titan, or did they run a Kama Got Kill multiple times? A lot of
Who
times.
knows?
That Kill ran a couple of times.
But yeah, they've showed a lineup promo in January, March, April, June, and July.
Wow.
Yes, they did.
Of course, now it's going to be, they're only going to have one in October now, so.
Now,
That happens.
I'm not going to say like losing Shampoo for One Punch Man is a positive or a negative, but the lineup now is looking pretty good.
Change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dragon Ball Z is getting into serious Cell stuff.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z, I think it's still a little bit ways away until where it's like the height of the arc. Like
where it turns
you gotta wait
beam
until
spam, power level stuff.
Well, I think it gets a little bit. I think it becomes at its best this arc, like more into the Cell games.
Right.
But
like once Mr. Satan shows up.
Oh.
I think
they introduce him.
Yeah.
Is he actually called Mr. Satan?
Yes.
I hope so.
Lord.
And I'm assuming since we're getting the uncut version, I think they'll actually say Mr. Satan instead of Hercule.
Isn't that just his first name though?
I don't know. Is Hercule like at all canon, or is that just dub thing?
I always just figured his name was Hercule Satan, and they just called him Mr. Satan in the sub because it's Japan and that's how they do it when they're being polite, and in English they just call him
Mr.
Hercule.
Satan.
Like I have no idea if like Hercule is
Satan-sama.
Good guy Satan.
Yeah.
Oh no! Actual good guy Satan.
No.
Just
We'll
in
see
time
more
for
of-
Blue Exorcist to come back.
We'll see more of him in the Boo saga. Well,
Yes. No, they're gonna do the Boo saga. We all know they're gonna do the Boo saga.
yeah, we've talked about this.
I mean, if they're not going to do the Boo saga, then
They've already done
I assume we're going to hear about it at San Diego Comic-Con because they have to get something huge to replace it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like we already know they have it. We know it's dubbed. We know it exists.
It's happening.
Yeah.
It's
like no way it's not airing. No way.
It's the world's worst kept secret.
Yeah. If it wasn't airing, they'd already have the DVDs out. The only reason they don't have the DVDs out is because they want to wait for that cross promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And then so Gundam's finally in space.
Space.
Honestly, I can never tell if Gundam's better when it's in space or when it's on Earth, because it feels like it varies from show to show. But most of the time it does feel like it's better in space.
Wait, we didn't even talk about the DBZ episode, really.
Well, we're just going through how the lineup is going to start being amazing.
I see.
And so Hunter x Hunter actually is going to go down because next episode, I think, is literally they wait for 50 hours in a room.
And then apparently there's a recap after that?
I don't know if they'll show... Will they show that?
It's on the schedule.
Oh, no!
Come on,
Why?
Marco.
I'm a little
I'm
a little bit confused why there's a recap episode, especially
because it kind of... It's basically... Okay, the first course just ended.
Yeah, but apparently it's...
X recap.
But apparently it's the only one in this whole 150 episode run.
It was still early enough that they didn't know exactly what was going to happen, I guess.
My initial thought was like when Madhouse started doing this adaptation, they didn't know exactly how well it would fare, and they didn't have the resources, all dedicated to it quite yet. So they had that recap kind of built into their whatever they're planning.
They also changed the timing of when it aired I think around this point, because they realized that they can't have it on as early as they did, otherwise they're going to have to censor so much crap in the upcoming episodes.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's like a One Piece situation where, they had the 7 episodes of recap because they changed the time.
That makes sense.
And then One Punch Man's coming, and that's One Punch Man.
You think they'll do Mob Psycho promote Crunchyroll cross promotion?
No. I don't. I do think Mob Psycho is a potential future, next year thing.
Yeah, I do honestly think we might get that, if only because I must see Reagan in, animated form, because he's the best character in that series.
And then, so Naruto is apparently gonna start doing the Kakashi flashback episodes, which
was actually good.
Hopefully you can't fuck those up.
Yeah.
Kakashi is the best character, so...
Him and Jiraiya are the best characters. If they fuck this up, there's no saving them.
And one reason why people say this arc gets a little bit better is because there is a section coming up that focuses on Jiraiya, too, so...
Yeah.
Right. Not just, stupid-ass Sasuke.
Yeah.
And then One Piece,
who's the worst.
watch the episode next week and why?
I want to yell something, but I can't because it's spoilers.
I want to talk about it so bad.
I know. Next week, I'll yell it out, and then we'll be able to talk about it, and
Are we talking about One
we'll
Piece?
cry and hug, and
Yeah, we're talking about what we're getting our hinting for One Piece out of the way early.
yeah, we're gonna do it again later anyway. So
Reggie Ruler, are you current on One Piece?
I'm actually just not watching it.
Oh.
Oh, you're the worst.
Well,
I thought I made this clear that I just don't watch. I mean, it's not as enjoyable when you're not current with it, and the art. I'm honestly not a huge fan of its art style or animation. The voice acting for the show is probably one of the better ones on the block, consistently, and character design is decent, but I don't know. It's usually too late for me. I like the extra 30 minutes to get to bed.
that's fine.
And when One Piece started airing, did you not have any familiarity with it?
I actually didn't join Toonami until even later.
Well, yeah, so I can totally see that. 250, 300 episodes in, hard to get your attention.
To catch
I think
up
I
on.
started watching around when Blue Exorcist started.
Oh wow.
Well, One Piece has been on Toonami for like 2.5
years. Yeah.
So Blue Exorcist, yeah. So One Piece started like a half a year before Blue Exorcist.
Yeah, so you're really far behind, and it's the sort of show where you got to go from scratch and catch up, and that's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, next week is like, well, the big episode is One Punch Man, but just like right behind it is One Piece.
Honestly, I'm not big on One Punch Man's first episode.
The second episode is better.
Yeah, like I feel like the first episode of One Punch Man it's all right. It's not like the show in its perfect form yet. There's better ones.
Right. But it does establish the gag, so.
Yeah, it establishes a gag, but the gag is also done better in different episodes.
Yeah, a lot of the humor is reliant on the side characters who aren't really introduced until later.
The second episode.
Yeah, second episode is when the actual, where an character not named Saitama shows up.
So what this kind of sounds like to me, and I know nothing about this show. Well, I mean, I don't know nothing, but is that the first episode is kind of like a pilot where it kind of has like the base idea, but it doesn't really grow into its own thing until a couple episodes in.
Well, the second episode, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they introduced the story arc in the second episode.
I mean, there are a lot of shows, animation or not, where the first episode or is just a little bit different.
Just a little.
Yeah, I'm making assumptions here, but.
No, yeah, I mean it sets up the main gag and all that stuff pretty well. It's just like there's better episodes. It's a pretty good episode. Definitely watch it, but I'm not sure it's going to be the best episode next week.
That'll be One Piece.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So.
Happy Saturday now.
Can it? Yeah. Yep. Okay, so that's about all for next week. So this week we have Dragon Ball Z Kai episode 77, Beyond Super Saiyan, Vegeta confronts the monster Cell. This is the episode where Vegeta kicks someone's ass before inevitably getting his ass kicked, so let's talk about it.
Well, that's Vegeta's life, He exists to hype himself up and then come crashing down to Earth.
I am the hype!
Exactly. He is the hype. He thinks he is the hype, and then...
He was the hype for the first 20 episodes he was in.
Yep.
And then it got his tail off while he was a girl, and that kind of started... And he never recovered from that moment.
No. He did get his ass handed to him pretty good.
I mean, Dragon Ball Z has never been as good as when Vegeta was the big threat.
I remember when we were doing ToonamiGAF awards last year when we were doing Best Villain. I don't know if we didn't give it to Vegeta because we gave it to Frieza, right?
Right, because Frieza was the obvious choice.
But I remember at that point we were arguing, well, is Vegeta going to be in our top 3 because he's never going to get any better than this? Because we knew coming up in Cell Saga he's kind of a You know, he's just there to
He
get
sucks.
his butt kicked basically twice.
Yeah. Like, Vegeta's only ever any good when he's totally fucking badass. Like, he peaks, I think, in Namek, and that's about it.
I say that's fair.
Yeah. Because, I mean, in Namek, he's still technically the bad guy for, like,
Well,
90% of the arc.
I think the fun part about Namek is that like he's not like the main villain. He's kind of like a third party, so he's kind of like doing his own thing. Where here he's he's not necessarily he's practically just an ally, but he's just his real purpose is just to show how strong the enemy
Goku
is.
Yeah.
Or Goku, or anyone else. Basically, how strong someone else is, and
just show how bad of a father he is to Trunks.
Oh, he's a horrible father.
Speaking of villains this year, I mean, regarding best villain categories and such, unless we get Phantom Blood JoJo this year, the villain category is kind of wide open.
No, I would think it would have to be Hisoka.
I mean, he hasn't done a whole ton of villainous stuff.
Yeah, he has. He's not not knowing anything about the show, but
we still have a set of episodes. He does some bad stuff.
Yeah, we still have 15 to 20 episodes left. So I was just mentioning for Vegeta, we kind of knew that now he kind of just becomes kind of a tool in a couple senses of the word.
In every sense of the word.
Shampoo's entire government as a villain?
They're not as present throughout the whole story, though. They're like in and out, and it finally near the end it feels like it decides, oh, okay,
clearly
is the bad guy.
Clearly, the answer is that scientist dude from Dimension W, whose name I can't remember.
No.
How about
worst character?
How about the entire show Dimension W as the best villain?
I actually thought the villain, he as a villain, not as a character, was
because it's terrorized us so badly.
So, like, worst character is, let's be honest, it's gonna be Captain Puzzle.
I think we can do worse.
It's gonna be Captain Puzzle, Yukimaru, and then pick and choose between Karin and Yugo.
Karin is someone worst.
Yeah. Karin is probably the worst character in Naruto, and that's saying a bit.
Okay, so it's going to be...
Easily clears out Yukimaru.
And she's easily worse than Captain Puzzle because she's not filler.
Oh, I think Captain Puzzle might actually be worse just because of how ridiculous he is.
No, but like Karin exists to like lust after Sasuke's balls.
Remember the part when Captain Puzzle pulled off... Remember the part when Captain Puzzle pulled off his bandana and it showed like a scar that's in the shape of a falcon or something, or a phoenix?
The Phoenix Fire is like, what? Are you fucking kidding me?
Like,
and honestly, his English voice is not very good, so it just did not come across proper. It's like,
he sounds like exactly what he actually is, a whiny loser.
Yeah. And they wanted to give him like the Phoenix fruit, but they couldn't because Oda was like, no, you can't.
Because I've already given that to someone.
Yes.
Anyways, back to the blog.
Back to the actual blog.
That's Dragon Ball Z.
Back to Dragon Ball Z.
So, Semi-Perfect Cell still blows.
Well, I mean, Cell in general kind of blows.
No, Imperfect Cell.
Imperfect Cell was okay.
I think Imperfect Cell is kind of menacing, and then Perfect Cell is kind of like
just Screen Frieza.
Well,
he's got that smugness to him that I think just works. But
I think Semi-Perfect Cell is just honestly, I liked Imperfect Cell more.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like the best villain of the arc is Imperfect Cell, and then as Cell gets more perfect, I feel like he just gets worse.
I don't know. I think Perfect Cell is better than Imperfect or Semi-Perfect.
Well, I mean, Perfect Cell.
Even if he is too much of a Frieza alike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Perfect Cell isn't even like a Frieza thing. He's just like, oh, I want to blow up the Earth, but I want to have some good fights first. I'm like, you're this strong. You can blow up the fucking planet whenever you want it, and you're like, oh, I just want to fight some strong dudes first. I'm like, I don't know.
I think that's a natural extension of I want to achieve my perfect form. Now I want to test it out.
And also, he has the DNA of Vegeta.
Yeah.
And Goku.
He has a thirst for Kakarot's fist.
That's not all. No, but
oh yeah, I
yeah,
forgot. If Samurai Jack comes this year, then Aku is the best villain of the year by default.
he'll be
What
the
if
best
what if
villain of
the
every
next final
year.
season sucks?
Yeah,
Let's not even talk about that.
No, it's not going to suck because Gendy still got it.
I
It
mean,
can't suck, right?
Gendy's had 10 years to come up with ideas for this, so
Like he's wanted to do the movie for like a decade now. If he doesn't have it perfect, I would be shocked.
The only realistic way it sucks is if it's like really Adult Swim Samurai Jack.
No, I mean I feel like by this point he's had the idea so long that he's probably just got whatever he's got.
like I have more faith in this than I do in Fooly Cooley 2,
Yeah,
especially for a couple reasons. He's had 10 years for a finale that he knew he was going to be making someday, or he was planning on it.
yeah,
I find it hard to believe I find it hard to believe that he would just give up on it at some point, and he
yeah,
didn't know
He
if he
always
wanted
wanted
to
to
go
make
with
it.
it.
right. I mean he
Yeah,
had that Sony
and
deal for
also
years.
apparently, according to that behind the scenes video, he's the one that actually basically came to them to kind of propose, like, hey, I kind of want to do this now.
Yeah,
Whereas Fooly Cooley sounds like, we've talked about this before, so I don't want to
right.
dwell on it. But it sounds like Adult
Adult Swim
Swim
went to them.
wants the writers to do it, and it's just the whole show itself wasn't lacking an ending like Samurai Jack was. So
Right.
just yeah, I think it's pretty obvious to have more, or I think it's not too difficult to have more faith in Samurai Jack than Fooly Cooley.
Right.
So
I mean, there was the idea that like he had that deal with Sony for like 10 years or whatever it was that oh, if you make 3 hit movies for us, we'll let you do whatever the hell you want after that. And then at some point they just
And then
told
they
him to
changed
screw
the deal
himself.
to "fuck you,
Yeah,
your life is Hotel Transylvania."
yeah,
which
exactly.
now they're making a third one. So like,
Yeah, he didn't even make the second one though.
or he was like a consultant or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, and then apparently the
Like
guy screwed
hands
it
off
up.
type of thing.
Yeah,
I don't
and apparently they.
I don't even
So
know anything
sorry
about these
to go back.
movies.
Sorry to
Go
go back
ahead.
to Fooly Cooley. Why they choose Fooly Cooley anyway? Why not Space Dandy or something a little more recent to revive?
Legally always had a really good reception in the West, you know? It's like, and a really nice cult following.
I think there's two parts of it. First of all, Fooly Cooley fits a shorter episode run, which like
Right.
Adult Swim is. All of Adult
Known
Swim
for.
seasons are short.
10
Like
episodes.
Like they're
I
making 2 new seasons, but it's only 12 episodes.
Right.
yeah, and also I think just with Ghost in the Shell and IGPX,
Their production IG thing.
production IG
Yeah.
when they got the rights to it, because it was originally Gainax, right?
Right, yeah.
So when production IG got the rights to it, Adult Swim has a pretty good relationship with them. So
Right.
like, hey, this is
Why not?
perfect. You know,
Yeah.
now we can talk to our friends that we're already friends with to do this thing we kind of wanted to do.
Exactly.
So
Regarding Space Dandy, I hope they never fund a new series, but I hope they fund a movie.
I think it's the kind of show that, you know, they could do a movie because it doesn't have
Yeah.
to fit with anything else, you know.
I mean, honestly, they could do whatever the hell they want with that show because, I mean, it reset and now he likes thighs instead of butts. And I'd like to see what that dandy is like. You know, what's the dandy that likes thighs instead of butts? What does
I mean,
he
if they
do
did a
with his
movie, they'd
life?
probably still have the butt-loving Dandy.
I don't
It'd
know.
just be like, this can fit in anywhere.
I like
I'd
how
like
this is.
to-
I like this is how our defining.
What if it's Breast Dandy instead?
No, he's a monster. No, but I want to see what thigh-loving dandy is like, you know? Like, how is he subtly different than butt-loving dandy? Like,
This is the discuss. So this discussion happened because I brought up Aku. So okay.
Podcasts are more fun when they go off the rails.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they
Back
are.
to DBZ.
Well,
Cell
I think we kind of
I think
like
we're done
massive
with DBZ.
genocide this episode.
I think we kind of exhausted, but to talk about DBZ here.
Yeah, there's
I mean,
one
there's
point
only
about DBZ.
There's only so much to talk about with that show.
Mobile Suit Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans Episode 5, Beyond the
Yes.
Red Sky.
This
they go
might
to
have,
space.
this might have been the best episode
Space.
yet.
Yeah.
This is the 5th episode, yeah. So
Yeah.
the best one yet.
Because there was
Honest-
actually action in it.
Yeah, honestly, like I was saying earlier, there's something about Gundam that when it gets into space, it's always better than when it's not in space. You know, it's just like something about it just clicks and everything just starts working right. You know, like no matter what show, what Gundam show it is, once they get into space, everything sort of shifts up a gear.
Except
Well,
for Gundam Build Fighters, which is like,
I haven't seen that one, but like every other Gundam show I've seen, which is a lot of them, like everything just shifts up a gear once they get into space, and then it's like, oh yeah, this is how we do something awesome.
well,
beat 'em.
the last couple of episodes were kind of just establishing,
Right.
this is the plot and what we're going to be doing. And I think just I do think that those episodes were like useful.
Important.
They were useful or valuable in terms of just like pacing. Because
Right.
like I think if episode 5 were to take place at episode 3, I think
It would be too soon.
it would almost be moving too fast, like kind of like it would be unfocused almost. It feels like so. But I think this episode, why I think it's the best so far. Obviously, we kind of have some action. We have our
Yeah.
main cast coming into conflict with our
conflicted people.
our established main villains, Major McGillis and Galio.
I think
And there's also this guy named Ein, who seems to be
Yeah.
hanging around.
His thing is that he's looking for revenge for Crank.
The other two
Yeah.
guys that died.
So
especially
more
Crank.
on that later. Well,
Yeah,
he only cares about Crank. He doesn't give a fucking shit about the other guy.
Right. So
Well,
we
who cares
kind of
about the other guy.
but we kind of have all these conflicts coming into place, and then also just Major McGillis, or is it McGillis or McGinnis? I can't remember.
It's McGillis.
Major
McGillis.
Chocolate Man is
Chocolate.
that's what they called him.
Fucking hell.
was that
I wonder
Pedo
if-
Man?
Yeah, I wonder what they called him in Japanese. Or just
I think he
Chocolate
was
Man?
Candyman.
Oh
Yeah.
god, that's even worse.
I think, anyways, like he is able to, he seems to be, observant and able to locate Mika's weakness. So this is the first time Mika's really seemed especially vulnerable, and the only reason why he survived was because Orga and the rest of the crew kind of did this slingshot thing, and
Right.
Which was pretty cool.
yeah, they did this slingshot thing, which I also appreciated that because like each character had like a role in that.
Yeah.
And then Eugene did his little thing, and then Akihiro helped out with the fight and things like that. So it's kind of nice to see kind of the cast working together in that way. But yeah, just there was actually some vulnerability there, so it didn't feel like there was actually some tension in terms of you don't know exactly what's going to happen here.
So on the meteor thing, even if that wasn't entirely how it works on a physics level, I think one of the parts that Space is better is that they can be a little more creative because you don't completely understand how it would work anyway. So your suspension of disbelief stretches a bit further.
Yeah, I mean we're talking about giant mobile suits in space, and so that they can move like very, very fast.
Yeah, like you can get away with a little bit of a crazier thing in Gundam than you could somewhere else.
Mm.
So, Coral died.
Yeah.
You kind of blink and you miss it. It's like, did he die? I guess he died.
Actually,
Yeah,
how did he die? I don't even I can't recall exactly.
Like the spear got thrown up above him, and then Mika caught it and threw it down onto him.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay.
And so, oh, surprise, surprise, surprise! Hitler Stache was a fucking traitor.
Yeah, that part
Ooh.
here's the thing. Like it's obvious that they didn't mean for it to be a secret. So it's like they wanted it to be like an obvious thing. So like they wanted it to be a plot point that readers or watchers would know about. But like I'm not sure.
They bash you over the head with it.
I'm not sure what the point was for making it so obvious. Like
Exactly.
I mean, if the objective was to make me think everyone around him is the fucking stupidest idiot ever for not realizing it,
Well,
then mission accomplished.
I mean, they knew because they had the backup.
Well, I mean, still, it's like.
no, I don't think everyone knew, because they seemed pretty upset when he started.
They're the stupidest idiots alive.
And also
They
the
deserve
fact.
to be betrayed.
Also, when he kind of like exposed himself, it was kind of in like the most blunt way possible. Like he yells out at the top of his lungs, like, "This isn't how it was supposed to go." Oops, I said that out loud. But like, I don't really get the point to make it so obvious. Like, is it supposed to be funny? They kind of ended it on a comedic note by like keeping him back and
Like McGillis is just like losing his shit.
No,
I love it whenever the ending for a show is played over the last part of a show, and B,
I
the ending
do
is
like
good
that. Yeah, no,
because
that's
that one.
always really good.
So like, what is it? Episode 6 of JoJo Phantom
Yeah,
Blood.
I
Everything
know
perfected
Black
JoJo.
Lagoon always does that.
Black
Everything.
Lagoon, Full Metal Alchemist did it a bunch.
Yeah,
At
Oh
least later
yeah.
on it did.
I always liked it when Black Lagoon did it because it was like it never felt like there was an obvious ending point until that music started, and then it was like, it started, and you're like, oh shit, something's either about to go down or we gotta wait for next
Yeah,
week.
that's actually a good way to put it. Like the show is ending on a high note, and then like that music comes on, and it's either gonna like hit a climax or like you're gonna hit a cliffhanger. And it's like, gosh, shit.
Yeah.
I don't remember the Black Lagoon ending theme at all.
It's not very musical. It's just kind of these
No.
low tonal notes, and it's just
Yeah, it works really well with the show though. Like
kind of
when you're
depressing.
watching it, yeah, like when you're watching it, it really works, but it's not the sort of thing you'll remember.
I'm
Like
honestly
I,
not a fan of the effect of the fade in intro. Just it always seems like bashing overhead that this is the end. This is
I mean,
wrapping up. I feel like it's a little too explicit.
sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on what, the outro song is.
Roundabout.
Fucking hell. I want JoJo if only so we could get our fill of like prog rock
To be
in the
continued.
block. Yes. It's the
You do realize if we got roundabout, it
roundabout.
would be a shortened clip
No,
version.
they have to play
Well,
it all the
no,
way
because
through.
I would Twitter spam DeMarco and say,
All the way
if you cut
through.
this, if you
No,
cut this,
cut the opening. Don't cut roundabout.
no, no,
He's
no,
gonna cut
no.
it so he can fit in his hipster music video.
Cut the opening. Don't cut roundabout.
Yeah,
Anything else is blasphemy.
he'll replace all the endings with Adult Swim stoner music videos.
Oh god damn it!
Oh god, that one this week was like the worst they've had.
But doesn't he like prog rock?
I feel like 2 years ago or so
He
there was
had
a
a
couple.
worse one.
No, I feel like there used to be like the occasional music video, like, hey, this is not bad,
Yeah.
and like there's some rhythm to it or whatever. But all these are just kind of like nonsense. Like not only like the actual video itself, but like just
The music.
droning music that has like no rhyme or reason. It's just kind of like
Yeah.
Well, that's DeMarco's taste for you.
No, his taste isn't always bad though. It's just a lot of like what he's gotten into lately is sort of like this weird genre of stuff that's like
It's okay for him to have
niche.
taste, but I mean, it's not really appropriate for the block, I feel.
No, like no, over the years I've liked his taste and stuff. It's just like I feel like lately he's just hit on like a genre that just doesn't click with pretty much anyone. Except
Also,
like
I have to point
ultra
out
music
that
nerds.
this year we've only gotten one Toonami music video, and that was in
Yeah.
January.
well, those are probably very difficult to make.
Yeah,
So
and expensive.
No, it feels like they've just been like, we could make a Toonami music video, but here's this fucking stoner shit that we could just get into
well, I think it's like
and do a
okay.
game review.
Well, I think basically like
easier.
whenever they get a new show, they're kind of okay. We get a new show. That means A, we have to make a promo for the show, and B, we have to make a lineup video for it, and that's kind of like almost like priority one.
Right.
And then it's like okay, we spend all the time making those, and I feel like they probably want off weeks so they don't have to worry about it.
Right.
So they
So
got
that's
something to
either a game review or a non-Toonami music video.
Which they don't have to put any effort into, like
Which-
the non-Toonami music video.
And also considering like way back when in old Toonami, they did these videos, and one thing that I always find kind of interesting is the old videos. I remember them replaying them like
Yeah.
more
Like
often,
they'd have the gorillas on like a couple of times.
or Space is the Place or whatever. They'd have
Right.
they play them more often. I think it's like now though with copyright or not copyright, but like licensing rules. It's like if they don't have a show anymore and they use a clip from it, like that could
They're
be
in trouble,
problematic.
yeah.
I have a feeling chances are no one would call them out on it, but like
No.
if there's a chance that
They're not.
That
the
someone-
lawyers aren't going to let them risk it.
yeah, so basically
It might have more to do with the music licensing.
or the music.
That too.
That's true.
Honestly, we might see more in this next year, if only because.
There's only one block change.
Right. Yeah,
that we
but
know
like
of.
there's not going to be a lot of changes in the next year
I mean, of course,
So,
they still
with
have to make
Toonami.
marathon promos.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that's only like every couple of months or
Hunter x
weeks
Hunter.
coming up.
Well, is there anything left in Hunter? And I did like what whoever his name was who said that this episode was Gundam Ass Gundam.
Yeah, H-Town said that, which like
Yeah, it
there's a
was some.
couple there are a couple lines of dialogue like how can he move like that, and that's like that's such a Gundam line.
H
Yeah,
Town usually can distill something down to
yeah.
He's
its essence.
he's pretty like perceptive in that way. Just kind of like this show feels like this. Like, yep, that's about right.
Yeah, no, but honestly, I feel like if this, like, there's two sort of like, this is Gundam Ass Gundam. There's like what we saw last week, and then there's like the epic, like, turd of a Gundam Ass Gundam,
Oh,
you know? Like, it's like this two sides of the coin thing. Like, one is like, oh, that's pretty fun, that's good.
with
And
a
the other
good
is like, I want to claw my eyeballs out and eat my brains because why? Like like how if you've seen Zero Zero.
so like a protagonist being a mopey dipshit. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean not only that, but like everything just gets like stupid all at once. Like whoever wrote it, like their esophagus probably went up and tried to strangle their brain.
Oh man, Code Geass is what we should be emulating in Gundam.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck, we should
That's
actually
pronounced.
get that. We should actually get that, if
Code
only to watch it together, because fuck, that would be a shit show of epic proportions.
it wouldn't be
Code
good.
Gas?
Yeah,
It wouldn't be good, but it would be amazing to watch.
it really would.
It would be the next first season of SAO.
Oh god, it'd be better than that, especially season two. Like some of the shit that happens there, I'm like, at one point you're like, okay, they just gave up trying.
So, Hunter x Hunter.
Hunter x Hunter.
Trouble with the Gamble, episode 11. So, Seda, you said that you had to kind of walk back. Oh man, this show is defying my expectations.
Yeah, so I was not expecting like this like bidding war kind of like crossover of the different matches.
Right.
And but I was kind of expecting the whole time, okay, in this type of show, there's up to 5 matches, there's up to 5 characters. They're gonna give each of the main characters a chance to shine. There's no way they're not gonna let Killua have a match. There's absolutely no way. So
Right.
it was obvious Leorio was gonna lose. And when you saw that he was going to be up against a woman, you're like, okay, I don't know exactly how this is going to take part, but the fact that she's a woman is going to be the reason why he loses. And
so-
turns out it was.
And it was.
He
I
made
didn't
a
know-
terrible bet.
That's was rock paper scissors.
I didn't know if it was going to be more like a Sanji thing where he's like, no, I cannot harm
No,
you, or I can.
Leorio's not that kind of dude. Like,
Well,
he'll fucking punch you.
Well, up to this point, Leorio seems to be like, he's like the medic and kind of, the morally helpful,
He's also,
guy.
Let's push a guy off a ledge.
yeah, I mean, like, he's really
Yeah.
hot-blooded. Like, he'll throw up a middle finger in your face if, like, he gets pissed off.
Yeah,
Like,
so
he always seems to
Okay,
be ready
honestly-
to throw hands.
This episode was honestly a character regression for Leorio. I think he was a lot more interesting than the previous episode. Right?
Yeah.
And I think he regressed a lot to his base stereotypes this episode, with the feeling up and the rock paper getting flustered at rock paper scissors. That sort of thing.
That was just uncomfortable.
apparently,
The reason
according to good.
is because
Go ahead.
he wants to feel someone up, so he makes
Yeah.
a bet where he
Yeah.
Basically, he made a bet.
Leorio.
He basically made the bet to benefit himself, and he didn't really care about the game or becoming a hunter anymore. He's just like, I want to feel him up. Like that's the
I
most
can
important.
touch boobies.
It's just like, okay, that is
You
very
gotta remember,
anime.
Leorio's a teenager, though. He's supposed to be, like, 16, 17.
Oh, there was 19.
19.
Or whatever. He's probably never
I mean, that still
touched
puts him.
boobies before.
That still puts him. 7 years older than Gon and 4 years
Yeah.
older than Kurapika. So he's still the oldest, but he's still
Yeah.
a teenager. I mean, like what?
He's
Like
got them hormones.
anime ages never make sense anyways. Like,
No,
am I supposed to believe that Zoro is like 17 or something like that? Like, come on.
Zoro, I
No.
believe, is 19.
No.
Well, whatever he is, he's obviously like developmentally challenged. Because like he could get lost in like a straight line of a hall. He did get
Remember
lost
in that filler arc when he
line.
actually got lost in a straight hallway with no exits?
There's
He
actually
literally broke space.
Yeah, to get lost. There's one that's almost as bad coming up where he gets lost, and it's like, really, this is where you get lost?
Anyways, so Killua's part of this episode, like
They censored that pretty big.
I don't even care about the censoring, right? But
Yeah.
This is also something I expected. I expected it to be like a warfing where like this villain guy who apparently has like a 1,000-year sentence, which is the longest one, who apparently just kills people indiscriminately and all that. He takes his arm and he literally just ripping apart a brick wall because why not? And I was totally expecting it to be like a moment where he would be defeated in like 2 seconds. I was fully expecting it. I was expecting like a decapitation or something. But I knew Killua was an assassin, and he's trained in killing people.
I think the villain guy is the strongest character you've seen so far in the show, right?
No, there's one that's even stronger than that, but he's on like a different level.
Well, in terms of
demonstration,
in terms of actual strength that we've seen, yes, we haven't seen anyone else like take down a brick wall with their bare hand.
Well, Kurapika shoved that guy's head like half a foot into the ground.
Yeah. And
Red Eye Kurapika.
Like Netero, I mean, when Gon tried to headbutt him, he was like, "Oh, his stomach is like steel."
Or his leg.
Yeah.
Of course, obviously, Netero was the guy where it's like, this guy is secretly God. So.
Yeah, I mean that's basically his character, though.
So I want to also reiterate that like just because these events were predictable, I don't think the episode is bad.
Right.
But it's just kind of like, okay, this is totally expected, and so.
It was still cool. The Killua thing was still, kind of really cool.
Yeah, I mean, he ripped his heart out and showed it to him,
And then he's like, okay, you want it back? I'll put it back in your hand.
Yep. Have fun.
But I think in the manga he, crushed it, so.
Yeah, no, he just crushed it. Like, he couldn't be bothered to even give it back. He's like, no, okay. No, but I mean...
regeneration when he crushes it.
Yeah, no, but, what Hunter x Hunter does is it doesn't always subvert your expectations. It does that a lot of the time, but also when it does that, it also does play enough of it straight that you never really know which way it's going to come at you sometimes.
And I also kind of chalk it up a little bit, like we're still really early on.
Yeah.
So like at this point, he was, the writer Togashi, he's probably not going to go
figuring it out.
You can't really go all out with terms of how different you want to make your series right away, I think.
Right.
I mean, I guess you can, I don't know, something like Attack on Titan is pretty darn different than anything else, but...
Well... I mean, Attack on Titan is still pretty...
Well, I mean, in terms of its main premise, what other show has a main
zombies, though?
But Hunter x Hunter's premise so far is pretty bog standard in terms of you want to be hunters.
I mean, a lot does... I mean, a lot of shows do steal from it, though, like Naruto, for example.
Yes, and that's true that Hunter x Hunter did come before a lot of things that it shares similarities with, so it's maybe more unique than I'm giving it credit for.
Yeah, like going back to what we were talking about, it's sort of like Dragon Ball Z and Ocarina of Time in that, it acts as precursor to a lot of what comes after.
So, Reggie Wheeler.
Yep.
Yep, you were going to say something?
That's his name.
Nope.
I think I've
So now we wait in a room for 50 hours.
Yes, that's literally the next episode.
I'm pretty sure we don't spend the whole time in the room.
Now, if
they can at least do something with the waiting.
If I put my trust,
I think they play video games.
I mean, I have to give the writer some level of trust here that okay, if they're going to spend 50 hours in a room, they can maybe extrapolate on a backstory, do some world building maybe. They can do something with a discussion that doesn't need like action or things like that. So I don't know if they're going to, but I have to imagine they can talk about something that has some level of interest to it rather than, I'm bored, let's wait,
Well, they could just skip over the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do.
That would be the ideal situation.
I kind of feel like they have to put the viewer or reader in the protagonist's shoes a little bit, that they have to wait. So I think spending one episode waiting perhaps is not a terrible idea, but you have to do something with it in terms of something's got to be introduced here in terms of a backstory or word building. I don't know if you're laughing at my idea or not, but
no. I'm just like.
They have to do something. They can do something with it to make it interesting.
I mean, I don't know what happens in the anime, what they do there, but I do know what happens in the manga, and I do think we're gonna have a nice discussion about it next week.
Okay. That can mean a lot of things.
Do we want to talk about Samurai Champloo?
Yeah,
yes.
Okay, let's go to that.
Final episode.
He's the best.
Evanescent Encounter Part 3. So, yeah, so I have problems with this ending, and most of them revolve around how One Piece it is. Like,
I'm okay with that.
Okay, let me say what I like. I actually liked Fu's meeting with her dad.
Fu's meeting with her dad was a lot better done than something similar in Michiko and Hachin.
Yeah, it felt appropriately melancholy, like this is what we built up to, but it may be not what we expected. But it kind of like I don't know what we expected, like to be like a big confrontation or something. But it also felt kind of sad because like he was literally on his deathbed, even if he wasn't killed moments later. It was pretty obvious that he wasn't going to live very much longer.
Right.
And it felt like appropriately depressing. I think the voice actress for Fu, Carrie Walgren, I thought did a great job. And it was I thought that
the important part was that you could definitely feel that there was a little level of you could feel there's a little bit.
You could feel the relief. Like actually, during that episode, when Fu walked out of the room, she then like leaned against the door, and I thought that was kind of just a cool little animation touch, like with her body language. Like it was almost like a literal weight off her shoulders. Like I finally met my dad and said my piece, but it wasn't like this isn't exactly how she wanted it to go, but it still had to be kind of relieving in a sense to finally meet him.
Whereas in Michiko and Hachin, he just throws it away, and he literally goes off somewhere else.
I mean, it was fitting in Michiko and Hachin because that was the character.
Yeah, but I guess Michiko and Hachin, it was like kind of disappointing in a sense that it was like this is purposely disappointing, and it's like this is not really disappointing. I don't think that's the right word to use for it. It just kind of like felt.
It's not what you expected.
Well, I mean, in a sense, it is kind of what I expected. Like, I didn't really expect it to be like, I am your father, but I disowned you years ago because I never loved you or your mother. Like, no, I didn't expect.
Right? No, I don't think anyone expect that. But I mean, like, I think you did sort of have to expect that, like.
It was kind of like her father made a mistake.
I feel like.
And he could never, ever, ever make up for it. And it's kind of like, this longingness of what could have been, but it can never be that way again. And then he, it's just kind of like, it kind of feel like she put the book, put the ribbon on things, kind of closed the book on it, even if it's not the ending she wanted, but she was able to close the book on it. So.
And then the book is thrown in the fire.
Yeah, and then here's the part of the episode where it gets a little bit more problematic. Now, first of all, let me say that I don't really have a problem with everyone like surviving. Like I kind of have a feeling if like Jean died or if Mugen died or something like that, it would almost be like this is just Cowboy Bebop,
it would just be like a standard samurai movie type of thing,
It doesn't have to be that, but it doesn't also have to be, Pell is carrying a nuke and he just is fine.
Yeah. So first of all, Jean looked like he got killed in the last episode, but he didn't, and it's like
you have Jean Particularly walking behind the.
His hair was amazing this episode.
He,
Like,
he's,
I just want to say that his hair was
How-
glorious.
did he like grow? Did he grow 3 inches of hair? Like
No,
I don't
his
think.
his ponytail
He
has
had
got.
a lot of hair in there.
I don't know how you could hide that much hair in that little ponytail he has.
I don't know, but it was
I'm
glorious.
I'm not being serious. But anyway, like, so kind of 2 problems here. Like Gene, it's like I cannot beat this guy. He is literally a better swordsman than me. Probably the first person in the show that has beaten who surpasses me in raw skill. And then it does this kind of like quick flashback. Like the only way to beat him is to
What about the blind woman?
self-sacrifice yourself.
Well, the blind woman fought him on a bridge, you know. I mean,
And he never got the rematch.
yeah. If he got the rematch, he would have won, I think.
Maybe, but like the thing is, like they bring up like in order for you to win, you kind of have to sacrifice yourself, and the chances are slim, and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wow, he's gonna have to
Not to
bring
mention
him with him.
he almost died.
Yeah, and then he
he
almost died the
did.
episode before, and then like turns out he does this self-sacrifice move where he basically gets stabbed that opens him up, but then
He can stab the other guy.
but he ends up a-okay, and like, oh okay.
He lives, and it's like, okay, so when you say you have a very slim chance of survival, that's not an out for the character to survive.
At the same time, what do we get from him dying there in terms
I don't think
of like character or narrative? Like,
Well, you don't get anything out of it, but then you don't put him in that situation in the first place.
I mean,
Yes,
the
you
thing
don't
is,
need to emphasize that you're going to self-sacrifice if you're planning to make the character live.
Well, no, I mean, like, there is sort of value to him, being willing to sacrifice himself to save Fu.
Well, I think
like,
one
that's more of a character moment than
but then it would have been more. I don't know. I thought it would have been more effective if he died, but like I said, I don't mind that he didn't. But like 2 things, they could have put him in a different situation entirely where he didn't have to do, the self-sacrifice move or something. Another thing they could have done is maybe they could have done some like significant injury where he's like, I can never wield a sword again because my arm is fucked up or something, and like then they would feel like there's some level of permanence here, like I sacrificed my ability to wield a sword.
So yeah, like have him get his arm cut up, like have him sacrifice his arm,
or his arm, or maybe just get his hand screwed up so he can never be as good as he was or something. And then he could still survive. But, like, I don't know. The fact that he's like, I self-sacrifice myself, I win, and now I'm A-okay, and it's, no lasting effects. And it just kind of feels a little bit weak. Like, okay. But then, like, Mugen, on the other hand, he is in this long...
Mugen got so fucking lucky in that fight, I swear to God.
He's in this long battle with this guy.
Been dead like 12 times, just to the scythe guy alone.
Well, he looks like he got his arm broken. I don't know if it actually did, but it looked like it at one point.
I mean, who knows? But I mean, like...
I thought it was ridiculous that, Scythe Guy, who was previously this just, fucking background character, he's just cutting rocks.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you don't get to do that, background character B.
No, that I'm okay with. What bothered me was how Mugen eventually got him. I'm like, how fucking lucky a dude do you have to be that's how you win your fight?
No, I think that part was fine.
He was dead.
Actually,
okay. It was just dumb luck that survived.
Let me jump in here. I don't think I have really any issues with the fight with the Scythe Guy itself, other than the Scythe Guy kind of just coming out of nowhere. And like, I wish there was a little bit more established there. But I thought the way he defeated him, I thought the battle itself felt tense enough. But then like this other guy shoots him in the stomach, and then he like literally explodes when he's 1 foot away from him. And then,
I said,
carrying
the nuke.
And then he's just totally fine. It's just kind of like the same thing with Gene, and it's just like, really? It's like there's just 2 instances that it just kind of feels a little bit weak. Like I'm not saying that like they should have died, but just the fact that they survived these silly odds, like they didn't have to be in that situation.
The odds were in some cases just unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even old guy survived, and it's like
heck, they didn't even need that wheelchair guy. They could have removed him entirely. Just remove him entirely.
It would have been fine.
And just have it be the Scythe Guy and maybe his crazy Ed Elric lookalike brother.
Yeah.
And have him basically win that battle just out of will
Sheer
and
luck.
frustration and whatever. And like, but you don't need to have him like survive an explosion. Like, what did that add? What did that add? It added pretty much nothing other than like a minute of, is he alive? Oh, he's alive.
Yeah.
Okay, so
like that.
You didn't need the exploding
We didn't need wheelchair guy. I think like how he killed Scythe Guy was just like.
I thought that was fine.
Well,
I mean, Mugen really getting lucky in a fight.
Yeah.
Well, also it was also very unconventional. Like he literally like tackled him with his legs and kind of like rocked him back and forth, and it's like, okay, that seems like something Mugen would do.
Yeah.
Like if Gene did that, that wouldn't make as much sense.
Weird.
But
yeah, no, but I mean with Mugen, like he's been getting lucky in his fights like the entire fucking time. Like half the time he beats somebody better than him, it's because he got lucky somehow. Like
I mean, his style plays to.
Yeah, but I mean, like when he
getting all the luck he can, essentially.
Yeah, like when he beat the Scythe lady, it was sort of because she realized that her son's already dead, and like she's like, no, I'm not gonna do this anymore. Like it felt a lot more like his luck should run out at some point. I just felt like, like at some point he's just got to stop being lucky. Like if someone died, I feel like it maybe should have been him.
I mean, that would have been just Cowboy Bebop again, but
yeah.
Well, I mean,
Samurai Champloo is just Cowboy Bebop in Edo, Japan. So
yeah.
So I guess if we're done talking about, well, is there anything else in the final episode we want to talk about that we can talk about?
Yes, old guy survives, and so.
Well, I mean, he just got
the assassin decides that he is going to. He's like, I have to kill all the retainers in the family. So it appears that he stabs old guy,
but apparently he just punched him.
And so either
No, the sound was a punch sound.
Yeah.
Okay. So why? Why would he do that? He wastes the guy who was on his deathbed, and he was gonna kill Fu. Why spare the old guy?
He doesn't gotta kill the old guy. I mean, he ultimate samurai killer guy does seem like, despite the fact he's like the ultimate assassin, like he's a pretty honorable dude. Like he doesn't just go around. Yeah, I know, but he doesn't go around like killing dudes indiscriminately. He
still wastes the guy who was on his deathbed.
Well, yeah, because he had to kill that guy. Like that was his job. Was like, you must go stab this guy, okay? And then he went and stabbed the guy.
Well, it does sound like if he just like gut punched this guy to knock him out or whatever, like it does sound like maybe he was slightly reluctant in his mission, but that's like the only time he seemed like that. So it's like kind of feels like it's almost inconsistent with this character who seems like super devoted to the shogunate. But
it feels like the only explanation for the old guy surviving is either Kiria or whatever his name is has an out of character, I don't know if I should be doing this moment, or he's just suddenly incompetent.
No, I mean, like, he doesn't have to kill the old guy because, he's just a
He was told to kill all the retainers and family.
I know, but as far as he knows, he's just some fucking old guy from the village.
He was in the same cabin. It's safe to assume he was a retainer.
Better be safe.
I don't know. I thought he lived in the village.
I mean, he was in the cabin at the time.
Well, he obviously seemed like he knew Fu's dad.
Was related to the guy,
Well, he seemed like he knew Fu's dad, and like he even told Fu that he's always I think he even told Fu, I don't know the direct quote, but like your father has talked about you or thought about you, like he said that, and then Fu's dad said that later. So it's like they apparently have been with each other for a little bit of time.
Yeah,
so,
like they've known each other.
So yeah, it does kind of feel kind of weird why he wouldn't kill the old guy. It's either a character inconsistency that kind of just seems to pop out of a random nothing, or just wanted the guy to survive for some reason. I don't know. Like
he just felt no need to kill the old guy.
Anyways, want to talk about the series as a whole now? I don't know.
I can't come up with anything other than, hey, it's Cowboy Bebop in Edo, Japan.
So my biggest problem with Shampoo is it doesn't. I don't know how it wants me to treat it. I mean, often there's cases where it has these powers that are borderline shonen, like with the was it the Ka or Chi episode?
Yeah, he beats this guy who does like this wind sword move.
And then Mugen does it too. And these, these little traits here, they're inconsistent in how they appear, so I can never tell how the show wants to treat itself. And then you have this blind woman who has superhuman capabilities.
Well, I mean, that's just a Japan thing, you know, like, for them, like, blind samurai are, like, the shit. You know, like, Zatoichi would, you know, he'd go around and he's, like, one dude and he can't see shit, and then, like, in, like, 3 swings of his sword, he cuts down, like, 50 guys.
So, Samurai Champloo kind of has like, I think Cowboy Bebop has like some comedic episodes and some more serious episodes. And I kind of felt like they flowed into and out of each other a little bit better. Like they seemed more, even though there are some episodes that were obvious. Sorry, I don't know if I misspoke. I might have not. But Cowboy Bebop has these episodes that are more comedic, episodes that are more serious, but they kind of feel still tonally consistent in a sense. Like it, but Samurai Champloo kind of seems like it's a little bit more dissonant between this is a comedy episode or this is a serious episode.
Samurai Champloo also doesn't really demonstrate the ability to do both in one episode.
Right, like Cowboy Bebop, like tonally, it had the same tone throughout all the episodes, no matter what it was doing.
Like, remember Speak Like a Child?
My favorite, that's my favorite. That's my favorite. No, let me talk about Speak Like a Child is my favorite Cowboy Bebop episode, and the main. The best part of the episode is like obviously the ending where Faye sees a videotape of her childhood, and I could speak about that for quite a long time. But really, most of the episode is kind of like this silly romp
around
with a VCR, and it's just kind of this silly VCR beta tape thing. But I still think that episode just works, and it like the way it kind of goes from like we're trying to find a VCR to play this movie, and it's like kind of silly, and then when they finally get around to playing it, it's like this really serious, emotionally, strong scene. It just kind of feels like it works. Where Samurai Champloo, there's some of these like really silly episodes, and then there's some like really serious episodes, and I just kind of feel like they don't flow into and out of each other as well. It's hard to describe. It kind of feels like there's two different modes.
They never ever try to combine them.
Right.
You have Samurai sacrificing himself under flames, and then you have baseball episode later.
Like, to go back to like Speak by a Child, I mean, like, part of the reason that one works so well between sort of the comedy and the seriousness is because like they've built up the importance of the tape throughout the thing, and I mean, like, they go through all this effort to watch it, and the only 2 ways it can go is if like it's of some importance to the major plot, or if it's just a gag and, you know, it was like some old porno or something.
Well, that's true, but I think it would have been not nearly as effective if they're like I don't know, it felt like that Faye and Spike and all that, they weren't like desperate to watch this tape.
Right.
They wanted to watch it. They wanted that's why they went to buy these stuff. But it's not like we have to see what's on it. We have to see what's on it.
Right.
And so,
right.
And then I think the fact that they kind of kept it silly and then kind of dropped it an emotional bomb, if you will, it just kind of worked. Probably the ideal way to work it.
Right. I mean, like what I mean is, like, you know, when you wanted to see the tape. I mean more like the viewer. Like, you know, they built it up to like the, you know, they're going through all these like silly things to, you know, watch the tape. So it's like you as the viewer, you know, you get emotionally invested in, you know, wanting to know, they're going through all this stuff. What the hell's on that tape? You know, and like, I don't think Champloo ever does anything like that where it's...
I think my favorite episodes of Champloo tend to be the sillier ones, like the baseball episode. There is the episode,
the ninja episode,
the bogus booty, which had the ninja, and like
I want my nookie.
That episode was great, but it was like totally silly. But then like there was a couple of episodes like
so that's like that baseball and Dutch guy.
Yeah, and the Dutch guy. The zombie one wasn't really funny, but it was just kind of like weird. So WTF, like it almost keeps your attention just by how weird and wacky it is.
I don't know. That kind of just felt like Watanabe was like, I'm Shinichiro Watanabe. I have to do Mushroom Samba again.
Well, that episode actually reminded me more of something like out of Space Dandy than Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. Well, like, it felt more like the zombie episode of Space Dandy than...
No, I mean, it felt more like the Afterlife episode of Space Dandy.
Ooh.
Not the zombie episode.
Yeah, okay, maybe the Afterlife episode.
Yeah, kind of a mix. But like, there were a couple of more serious episodes that I liked. For example, the 2 episodes with Sarah, that duology, probably the
Right.
best two-parter in the show.
Mhm.
And like,
No, the best two-parter in the show was probably Mugen's backstory.
that was pretty good too. I'd probably give Sarah the leg up.
Yeah,
But
I'm gonna go with Seda on this one. I mean,
I
Mugen's
think
thing-
this element of like this mother fighting for her child, kind of like in this really sad state of affairs, and then kind of her child's dead the whole time, and you can kind of guess that, and then her
Yeah.
realization of that, and then like not only that, but it kind of actually made the heroes more vulnerable, and it just
Yeah.
she's blind. The
mean-
fact that she's blind adds into it, and it just kind of felt like it hit
Yeah.
on all cylinders for me in terms of a serious episode.
And it's
I mean,
also
I get the only part that's not so serious is how is she so darn proficient at this, but
Blind superpower.
Yeah,
you can
chalk that up to Japan.
I mean, there's so many cases of a blind, amazing,
Daredevil.
like, martial artist or something. So it's
Yeah.
not necessarily a new thing, but then there were a couple of pairs. Like there was the episode with like this Aboriginal guy that just felt
Yep.
like really boring. Like it
Yeah.
didn't say anything. Like the
No.
character wasn't necessarily interesting, and then it just
Right. I
it
mean,
was actually.
looking at the episode as a whole and comparing it to like Bebop, like I feel like every episode of Bebop has at least one moment that'll stick with you, like 10 years after you've seen it. I don't really feel like that with Shampoo. Like the baseball episode is gonna stick with you, if only because of how wacky it is.
Some episodes, I straight up can't remember anything about them at all.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember some earlier episodes.
they're not that
It's literally
memorable.
just the Dutchman episode.
There's
that I
that
can
one.
remember.
Yeah.
I know, like
Maybe the Dutchman episode. I
The
missed
graffiti
the fact-
episode, maybe.
the graffiti episode was pretty good. Like I think it
Yeah.
kind of fit the music style perfectly, so it
Right.
kind of like worked.
Actually,
But that's also a more comedic episode that
Yeah.
kind of works.
But-
so,
but-
One
About the music?
relates to the show's thematic strengths of combining its two elements, so I would assume that the graffiti episode would naturally be fairly strong.
I actually don't think the hip-hop and Edo-Japan stuff goes together very well.
I mean, they inherently don't, but the fact that they were together means that one episode was among one of the stronger ones.
yeah, like it kind of fit like this style that the show was kind of like clashing two things together, and that's kind of like
Yeah.
the core of it. But then I guess like there was
It works
Cowboy
in
Bebop
places,
and
but others
Jazz
it
fit
doesn't.
together better.
But like there was an early episode with like this guy who's like apparently really really strong and powerful, but the thing is he's just ugly and wants people to see him for who he is, and it's just kind of like that
Oh,
kind of
episode
felt
2.
yeah, that kind of felt like pretty
Wait,
pro
we did
forma.
that one?
Well, that was episode 2, like
Yeah, no.
half a year ago.
Yeah, it wasn't very memorable.
And then there was like a pair of episodes when like Fu gets captured. Oh, Fu
Which
gets
episode
captured.
where Fu gets
And then
captured?
sold into
Well, like, there's-
prostitution. Like that's like the whole first season is all that happens to her is she gets captured and then sold into prostitution.
Well, there's the one I was thinking of is there's like the like a rogue thief voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, but that's kind
Oh,
of like
yeah, the one
that's
that
like-
was just...
that's
Oh, yeah,
that's
And then where she had to inform his mother that
Yeah, right.
that like I thought the episode was pretty well constructed and done, but it was like done before, so it wasn't necessarily.
better.
Yeah, and then I actually did, on another episode. I don't remember if this was a pair of episodes or just one episode that I thought was pretty good. Was when Jin met the brothel woman.
I think that was one episode.
Yeah, and that one was pretty good for a
Oh,
serious
yeah,
episode.
that one was... Okay, so that episode was amazing.
Mhm.
Even though I forgot about it. But
yeah,
yeah,
I think it's just a little bit more. There's a little bit
Not a
more
lot
tonal
memorable.
inconsistency, but so there are some episodes that are really great, but it's just not as inconsistent or not as consistent as like something like Bebop.
Right.
You know what,
I
what
know.
I would have liked is for the comedic episodes to keep the record scratching transition.
Well, I mean, I don't think that was originally in there though. I think they just threw that in for the American release.
my thing with the hip-hop is that they didn't go far enough.
That is kind of true.
You
There's
know,
like one episode with the graffiti.
Yeah,
yeah.
the record transition would work very well in that episode.
No, honestly, what I was thinking back to what Seda said about, or you said about Cowboy Bebop and the jazz fitting better. It's also because Cowboy Bebop is more of a noir show than a space show,
Right, but
whereas
it's like Cowboy Bebop, and it just feels more,
right,
put together.
yeah,
Where like
like it,
Samurai Champloo, like the episode with the Aboriginal guy, like early on in the
right,
episode, like a couple of guys like start rapping,
yeah, it's just weird.
and it's just kind of a scene. There also is the episodes with the samurai rapper guy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where he has his promoters guys thing.
Well, like his wife apparently is like
he sold his
that's kind of like
wife.
no.
There's a guy there that
This
sold his
they
wife.
meet. I don't know if I'm misremembering this, but there's an episode where they meet basically a femme fatale, not femme fatale, that's not the right word, kind of like a sultry older woman that kind of hits on Mugen and Jean, and then
Right.
Fu meets this um, kind of nutso like
When the hell did this
pompadour
happen?
guy. He's like Pompadour
I
Samurai.
I don't
Remember
remember
this?
this episode.
I
This
remember this
happened?
episode.
Pompadour Samurai.
Seda, were you drunk?
No,
No,
At
I know this
one
episode
point?
happened. I just don't remember any details at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I'm trying to remember.
they were husband and wife. That was the
That,
ending.
that was kind of the twist at the end. It's like, wait, they're married, both of them. So,
So what
but
the hell are they doing?
yeah,
But no, so I think the thing is that I think the hip hop part of Samurai Champloo was just tossed on. Like
Mm,
Probably.
it's not mixed in. It's just like, here is this regular Edo Japan show,
I mean,
and then we put hip hop on it.
Right.
there are some parts of the soundtrack that are like they're like more of a slower hip hop. Like
Right.
they're not really like the upbeat rap hip hop, but kind of like just kind of like a rhythmic like it's hard to explain music in words, but like more of a rhythmic slow tonal beat, and that like it's yes it's technically hip hop, but it almost didn't feel like hip hop enough. Like
Right.
if it
So
like with some of the other stuff that they have in the show. So
Right.
we're all kind of in agreement that Samurai Champloo probably has, a fantastic soundtrack.
yes.
yeah.
But the thing is that
It doesn't fit what it's trying to do.
Samurai Champloo feels like it's worse than the sum of its parts.
Right. Yeah.
I would agree with that.
I could honestly feel
Honest,
like go for a more fast-paced soundtrack would be better.
no. I think
I disagree.
what I feel like what I'm feeling is it's trying to ape, more traditional samurai movies, but like turn it on its head. And the soundtrack doesn't really fit that. I feel like it would have been a slightly better show had it leaned more into like the hip hop stuff and done sort of like maybe a War of the Roses subplot in the background, with Fu and her dad and that sort of thing going on there.
I thought like first of all I think the soundtrack is great. Like
It
Yeah,
is
no,
great, but I
I
feel like it's
agree.
great just on its own, just on its standalone,
Right,
but
not
doesn't
in
actually
conjunction with
elevate
the
the
show.
show.
I just don't like.
Right.
I don't I like
So
I'm trying to imagine what would Samurai Champloo sound like with a more traditional soundtrack. What would it be like Inuyasha soundtrack?
No,
And
like
it's like
I
no
don't
no no
want it
no
to have a
no.
more traditional soundtrack. I mean, I'm saying I want it to lean into it more,
Yeah.
sort of like tonally,
Not gonna do him a Jet Set Radio
thematically,
soundtrack.
like go
Turn it
into it
up.
more. Like like you've got this hip hop soundtrack. Okay, cool. You're in Edo, Japan. Maybe do two warring factions in the background. They're trying to go to this place. Mugen and Jean are like hitmen for each of the warring sections. They're trying to escort Fu, and she's, like it. It felt like it needed a bit more time in the oven before it came out.
Samurai
You know.
Champloo was a little bit too concerned with keeping its food separated on the plate.
Yeah, it needed to mix it all in a little more, and it needed to throw it like it needed less like old samurai movie, more like I want to say background of Romeo and Juliet, like more Montagues versus whatever going on there,
Hmm.
because like the soundtrack didn't really doesn't like the style of the soundtrack doesn't really fit with the style of the show it's trying to be.
So like first of all, I feel like we're almost being a little bit too critical, even though I agree with like everything we're talking about,
yeah,
except for Reg Ruler saying he doesn't like the soundtrack at all. But
you're a monster.
like I think
Matt, you
Grexino's
say
part,
that
I think Grexino's part where he said like this is not, it's almost like the parts are better than the whole,
right.
which is almost the opposite of what you would typically make that phrase.
I mean, if you take the two parts and then you say, "Wow, this should be amazing," and then it's not as amazing and it should be, mostly because they don't mix enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
And
is what I'm saying. I think it's not so much that you don't mix enough. I think it's not that I think it's just that it's not in the right quantities. Like they went too much samurai movie and not enough sort of hip hop.
Perhaps. It's just I think it's basically like Samurai Champloo has some moments and elements to it that really shine, and I think are very, very good, and probably some of the best stuff we've seen on Toonami, honestly. But then, like, there's just other parts in between those shining parts that are just kind of like, okay.
They sort of like dull out the shiny parts.
Yeah. I mean, also this comparisons to Cowboy Bebop and such is kind of almost unfair, but.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
on the other hand, they can't escape it because it's so similar.
Yeah, it feels like it is trying to be it. Like it's different enough, and it's like maybe they put some effort into making it different, but it's maybe not different enough. So,
like I feel like it could benefit from the sort of gangland backstory that Bebop has. Is sort of what I was trying to say earlier.
And also, for example, like the core episode that make up Bebop's actual storyline kind of feel like a little bit more consistent here, where Samurai Champloo's overall storyline, like we didn't know that we didn't know they were being like chased by the shogunate until like five episodes from the end, and just kind of so it kind of feels like it just materialized out of nowhere. Where Samurai Champloo, there's like this backstory between Spike and Julia and how Vicious fits in. That's kind of like all introduced earlier on. With the Ballad of Falling Angels, and is that what it's called?
They even hint at it in like the earlier episodes, episode 1 and stuff.
Well, yeah, and is it called Ballad of Falling Angels? Am I getting the title right?
I think so.
Episode 5. It's with the chapel scene or the opera house or whatever.
Man, that chapel scene. Those scenes are unforgettable.
Yeah, and that's also
there's like 3 scenes in that episode that are unforgettable.
Like the Spike falling from the stained glass window, and I'm like, fuck.
And I guess like is Mugen falling from his ship in the water supposed to be emulating that? I mean, I think that scene with Mugen falling into the water was okay, but it's like not even nearly on the same level in terms of
memorable or just being good.
Honestly, the only scene in the show I think is like on the same level as memorable as some stuff in Cowboy Bebop is the ending of Spike's backstory episode where he wastes that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what do you mean?
So remember Spike's backstory episode with the girl with like this.
You mean by Spike? You mean Mugen?
Fuck.
Oh yeah, and that also had a great soundtrack to that, the 100 Drums or whatever it's called.
I'm sorry. Well, they're the same character.
Yeah, same voice, same character.
I mean, they're not the same character, but come on.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. That's the only scene I thought was like Cowboy Bebop level in the show.
No, I mean honestly, I liked it when I saw it, but I would say it's not as memorable as it. Like nothing in Champloo sort of stands out like in terms of like an individual scene like reaching sort of the heights that Bebop did.
I have a kind of a random question. Do you guys remember what your first Bebop episode you saw was?
It was actually the first one.
Yeah, every Bebop episode I've seen.
I feel like I know I saw the first episode first, but then I feel like the one that sticks out to me is Ballad of
I know that kind of feels like an odd question. I know that kind of feels like an odd question because like obviously the first episode, but I feel like there's a lot of people who just kind of like caught an episode as it was airing.
Right. Yeah.
Because it aired for so long. At night, so like you might just catch an episode. I just remember for me it was the Waltz for Venus episode, the first one I saw.
My first episode was the one with the virus, the one that was caused by the contaminated food, or the.
I fucking love that one.
My favorite part of that episode is when he lights his cigarette with his flamethrower.
Oh, that was amazing.
So one last thing I have to say about Champloo is that, well, Cowboy Bebop, these shows are both like in the annals of, hey, American person who hates anime but wants to watch an anime. It's like Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo are always on the list, right?
Yep.
Cowboy Bebop definitely.
Cowboy Bebop feels like
list.
a show that was just, they made a good show first, and so naturally it ended up on that list.
Right.
Samurai Champloo feels like a show that was designed specifically to end up on that list.
But it doesn't always end up on that list, I think.
Right, because they didn't succeed.
Right. Like, I feel like I'd put Ghost in the Shell up on that list before I'd put Champloo on that list.
In terms of like non-anime anime, or anime for non-anime fans?
Yeah.
Anime for people who say they hate anime.
Right. Like,
anime that are just not anime enough for people who hate anime,
Right. Like, it would be
I'd put Black Lagoon on there.
Yeah. Bebop,
I know Black Lagoon has... No, I think Black Lagoon has enough of it that it feels way over the top, but kind of more in a 80s movie sense and not.
Yeah.
But it also has the kid vampire episode.
Yeah,
I actually want to bring this up when One Punch Man finished, because I think there's a mainstream appeal to that. Discussing the its appeal to mainstream.
With the superhero boom, yeah. I mean,
the superhero part definitely kind of crosses over into.
I could see them doing like a live action version of that, and if they did it well enough, it would work and make a lot of money. But no, I mean, if we were to make the list, I think Black Lagoon would definitely have to be on there because it's like the bastard love child of like Quentin Tarantino and John Woo. It's like.
And I don't think that having the killer child people is like really that much different.
Turn anyone off. I mean.
I don't think that's much different than the adult turned into a child in Bebop, who's like.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely think of like darker things that have been in like movies that have done well.
Right, but it's just like the kid vampires are just so much more wildly anime than anything else in the show.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure if they're anime so much as they are like incredibly dark, In
ridiculously over-the-top anime fashion.
Well, I mean, also it's kind of just like it kind of is like an over-the-top play on like child slavery or child prostitution,
right. But like it feels more like
obviously now they're like
European horror movie than anime, Like it would be more of a like Human Centipede director type movie than.
But anyways, Black Lagoon is great. Yeah. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, no,
Black Lagoon is still like the show from New Toonami that I had no idea about, and then I was like, fuck, this is amazing.
Yeah. No, but like I was saying, I put like those three shows on that list of, anime to show people who don't like anime.
Anime to show to Dan Reichert.
Yeah.
I think actually like IGN or Kotaku or one of those big sites actually did a recent list like anime for non-anime fans.
Yeah.
And you know what show is on it? Michiko and Hatchin.
That actually works. Yeah, I'd put that on there.
Yeah, I would put it on there. It's not necessarily as good. I mean, I think I think I'm more positive on it than most, but still, definitely not nearly as good as the others that we've mentioned.
Right. No, definitely. But I mean, tonally, it's you're used to that sort of style enough that you'd be able to convince somebody to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you gave them like a plot summary of any of the shows we've sort of mentioned on this list, they'd, and you didn't tell them as an anime, they'd be like, yeah, no, I'll watch that. That sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whereas I think something like Champloo, like, it feels like it should go on that list, but I don't think it does. If only because they didn't get the proportions of, hip-hop and samurai movie right.
It kind of feels like a rough diamond. Like there's good elements to it that are probably valuable underneath, but just so much.
It needed to be cut and polished more.
Right. Yes.
One sentence Samurai Champloo review. The The samurai and the hip hop are in unbalanced parts. There you go.
Yeah. It could have been better. Would, sort of be my one sentence review of that.
6.5 out of 10.
More like a 7.
I'm okay with the 6.5.
I'm being called. I am not gonna. I'm not gonna answer it.
When we started this, I'd get text messages in the middle, and I got all sorts of shit for that.
Oh yeah, I got a phone call once. Anyway, I think we've
we've
talked about Samurai Champloo for like a half an hour. So
let's talk about our favorite show now.
Okay, so Naruto Shippuden episode 118.
This is why I come on it.
So the only thing I remember about this episode is Sasuke says, "Now I've assembled my perfect team."
No,
like,
we are the heavy.
The heavy.
This confused me for a bit. I looked it up. It's heavy. It just means snake. So yeah.
I thought it was Taka, or is that later?
They needed to
That's
change.
later. They changed the name later.
Yeah, when the stupid thing happens.
When the stupid thing happens.
No, I mean, like,
I don't like to use the name for the dub. That's stupid.
They should have just done the snake as the team name, because now.
Well, that would have also been stupid.
Well, yeah, I know, but now this is gonna make me miss, Symbiotic Titan. More than I already do.
Well, I mean, in Japanese. Okay. I don't know if you guys are more familiar with this than me, but in Japanese, is it ever actually called the Leaf Village, or is it actually always just Konoha?
Konoha Gakure?
Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
What does that mean? Does that mean Leaf Village? It's just kind of it's kind of weird how they call it Leaf Village in English, which I'm not. That's fine. That's
they're just shortening it from the village hidden in the leaves.
Yeah. But
and then there's like the village hidden in the clouds and the village hidden in the mist.
I mean,
so they shouldn't have these sort of Japanese sort of names that sound weird, that are still kept for localization just for the purist's sake. It sounds
like I don't for example in DBZ, I don't mind if they change the name of Destructo Disc back to its Japanese name, especially when you consider that two of the most popular moves from it are Kaioken and Kamehameha.
Well, Kamehameha is the name of a Hawaiian king, so.
Yeah,
but it's still not English. Like they could have dubbed it as Blue Energy Beam if they wanted.
No, I don't mind.
I just think it's weird how they call it heavy.
Like I don't mind if they like keep the names of the techniques untranslated, because a lot of times a lot of them are just like awkwardly translated into English. Like
what does Rasengan mean in English?
Yeah.
Ball of energy.
Spiraling sphere or something like that. I'm like, that's bullshit. That's stupid. It sounds weak. Keep it. What does
Shippuden mean?
Hurricane. It was originally, it was Hurricane Chronicles.
Yeah.
But that might have just been like, come up with a name.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, there are certain, but I mean, this is a situation where it's like the opposite of that, where like the untranslated version sounds even stupider than it would translated.
I don't really have any problem with it. I heard it as heavy, and I sort of like everyone else.
Everyone did.
So I was what?
That's heavy, Doc.
Really, Sasuke's perfect team.
They're garbage.
Perfect team.
I think
the girl that lusts after his nuts.
I think Water Guy is the best guy on that team.
And that's sad.
Shit. It really is.
I think. First of all, Red Ruler, have you seen anything past this?
I heard.
Or familiar with it?
I mean, I've heard spoilers secondhand from my brother for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess the actual question is, do you care?
No.
Well, I mean, he seems more positive on the show than most, so. I mean, it's fine. But
I know who dies pretty not too.
You know some of the deaths. Okay, so, anyways, I think some of us.
Is bullshit, though.
I think some of us are just
get that out there.
I think the fact that most of us have, like, I haven't seen. I'm not like up to date or anything, but I've seen past this part, and I kind of know that. And this is going to be a spoiler, but I don't really care at this point. It's not really unexpected. that this team that Sasuke has assembled, they don't really do much. They do one thing that I can think of,
and that's it.
And it's actually a pretty important thing. But there's one thing that they do.
And that's it.
And also, it has nothing to do with Itachi. So he says, like, I assembled a team to capture Itachi. What they do has nothing to do with that.
Exactly.
Jesus, don't matter ever.
Yeah, so
No,
that's
actually,
Is that this team was probably the thing I was least aware of. I was more of larger spoilers, usually involving pain and whatnot. Nothing
yeah.
usually involving this
no, I
team.
mean,
And I think a reason for that is since these guys don't amount to anything, there's not really much to spoil about them. They just don't do anything.
no, but I mean, the thing is, as the series goes on, like Kishi tries to like tie them all into like the overarching plot of the series for reasons that nobody fucking understands. And it goes on to ruin other parts of the series that
well,
were actually like, oh, that's cool, and now it's not.
so for example, well, first of all, it seems like these guys were mandated to be added by an editor, or it
Yeah.
seems like that's at least a popular theory.
Yeah,
He
that-
really
I mean,
should have.
that's
At that point,
literally the story.
Kishimoto really should have been at the point where should have been just like,
No,
I'm the writer of Naruto. I do what the fuck I want.
but
He's
also,
like the inverse George Lucas.
yeah, like okay, I'll do what you say, even if it doesn't really work. But also,
Yeah.
oh, what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. Shoot.
These people are horrible.
Who cares?
Well, no, I want to hear what. Oh, okay, no, I mean,
I'll come back.
The
You'll come back.
is, who
yeah,
cares?
like, I mean, what I'd say is like outside of the like Karen is both. I mean, not only does all she do is lust after Sasuke's nuts.
That's literally her character. That's
Yeah,
literally.
I know that's literally her character. But then we find out something about her that just turns that into like, oh, is that just a genetic trait?
Well, I remember what I was going to say before. Like, they
inconsequentialize the fact that she's already a sponge for his. Wow.
Kareen, sponge.
No, and then like her power. Can I just spoil what her power is?
Nah.
Sure.
Well, smelling stuff.
Well, she has a
No.
couple of powers,
No, I mean,
but
like,
I say
like
don't.
the funny
Just
one.
just don't say it.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
fine, but it's hilariously sexual.
Yes.
It's pathetic that the best guy on the
assume
team
you're
is
gonna
the guy who has the power to like just make certain parts of his body expand, which is usually like, oh, that's lame.
No,
But I remember what I was going to say before. So like they tie Jugo's backstory into with Kimimaro,
right.
and it kind of feels like the weirdest, loosest tying together of elements ever. Like,
Right.
well, obviously this is the comparison that people might love. When One Piece ties something together,
You're actually going to see something like that.
it immediately like makes sense.
Right.
Like holy crap, that makes sense now. Or it may not be like a revelation, but it makes sense, and it like
Right.
it expands on something you might already know.
Yeah,
But here
like
it's
there's an
like
internal logic.
it's like, oh, apparently that bone ninja guy that almost killed Rock Lee way back when, who died randomly, apparently he was also like the best friend of this other guy, and it's just like, it doesn't matter.
What's the point? Like,
I mean,
we
it makes
didn't know, like, when we saw him originally, he didn't seem like the guy who had best friends. I mean, let's be real. He
Especially-
was a loner.
I think it might have been maybe more impactful if that guy was still alive, because it's like might be
Yeah.
building up to something there. But it's like, oh, okay, he was a friend with this guy who's now dead, and it just
Right.
kind of feels like you can't establish this emotional relationship now, way after the fact. It just,
Well, I mean, Naruto as a series its primary premise is its unlikely friendships, even though that doesn't usually go through as well as it
yeah.
should be. But
it just feels like the
This was
weirdest
done in a-
connection. It feels like they made a connection that he wasn't planning to make. It doesn't feel like
Right.
it was.
Or like he felt, look how clever I am.
I can agree with that.
Now, here's something that I'm not as negative on. Jugo being the origin of the curse mark, that I'm not. I think that is fine.
No,
Something
it gets
had.
worse. No, it gets worse from
Okay,
there.
this is actually something
You're
I'm-
okay with it. You're okay with it now. You're gonna
Well,
rage later.
Okay,
I swear to God.
so Orochimaru. So what we knew is that Orochimaru came up with the curse mark. Now we also knew that Orochimaru had a bunch of human subjects and that he did a bunch of
Right.
crazy shit to them. So it's not too
Right.
out of the realm of possibility. Oh, one of his subjects mutated somehow and made a curse mark, and he was able to isolate it and exploit it. Like, okay,
No,
that's
actually,
fine.
No. This guy was sort of the origin of it. Like,
Yeah, but it seems like
he didn't get experimented on to have this happen. It just happen naturally.
Well, I mean, it's like a genetic engineering. He pretty much takes the ideal trait from Jugo and transplants it everywhere else.
Yeah, I don't think it's that really out of the realm of possibility that he kind of takes this mutation and exploits
it. It's not.
So that is fine. Like something had to be the origin of the curse mark. He didn't just come up with it, literally out of thin air or something. It had to come from somewhere.
I mean, it could be a Jugo.
So that's fine.
The curse mark also has another backstory to it.
Okay, this is something I'm actually not familiar with.
You're better off because you're just going to throw something at your computer screen if you ever read it. Because it's just like.
Okay, so anyways, Sasuke's team is now put together.
It's bullshit.
It's kind of dumb. It's not. I think the main issue with it is like those episodes were boring. Like we spent at least one episode or more on each of these guys.
I think the most exciting thing that happened in the last 5 episodes was honestly that short fight scene at the last episode with Jugo and Sasuke.
Well, the animation
I think the most exciting thing that happened was that Jiraiya showed up again.
Oh yeah, he's back.
Just kind of saying. Favorite. Yeah, and it's so the episode ended with basically both the Heavy and Naruto basically like we have to get Itachi. And it kind of moves into motion the next major arc here. And it's like I said before, it's better than the stuff we've seen recently. I don't like it as much as I do the Shikamaru stuff, but it's
the Shikamaru stuff was like
some stuff is going to happen at least, but
Oh my god, guys! I forgot. Did you see this new Pokemon?
Which one?
The one that's literally just Pikachu, like a ghost with a poor crudely drawn Pikachu sheet over it.
Where?
Go to Cerebi.
Okay. Is this leaked or officially announced?
No, this is officially announced in Korra. It's literally a ghost type Pokemon that just it wants to be loved by like Pikachu, so it like has this really crude crayon drawing of Pikachu's face on a sheet.
We actually have models for it in the new Pokemon trailer.
Salandit looks cool.
You didn't see Salandit?
How did we get in this topic?
Because I was reading through some NeoGAF threads and I was like, oh yeah!
I don't know.
We're that boring, huh?
Because,
No, well, Naruto is that boring. Oh, there it is. Oh, wow, that is actually hilarious. That is literally just a sheet drawn like Pikachu.
I don't like them playing off one particular Pokemon that well, unless it's directly related to that Pokemon.
Oh, it looks hilarious. I love it.
It's like a riff on the Pikachu clone that every game has.
Yeah. That's going to be funny. I think it's going to have a funny Pokedex entry.
I do hope that it has forms for other Pokemon.
Yeah, but going back to the Naruto thing.
You mentioned Salandit.
Yeah, I just.
Do you know what its ability is?
Tell me it's awesome.
It can literally poison any Pokemon. It ignores immunities.
Yes. Holy shit.
Well, I mean that's because its poison literally melts your skin.
And it's poison fire? Are you kidding me? I love that thing.
I was like, that thing's going on my team.
That's like the ultimate fairy killer.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Pokemon past like season or generation like 3-ish.
But you're the worst Pokemon.
Yes, I am the worst.
That's why he's the worst Pokemon.
But Salandit would get annihilated by Earthquake, which is like the most common move.
Yeah. Okay. Sort of going back to Naruto though. The next 3 weeks we're getting Kakashi's backstory.
Only 3 weeks?
It's 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, wait, only 2? I thought it was 3.
It's a 2-parter.
Oh, god damn it. I thought it was a 3-parter.
Well, at least that way we know the pacing won't be garbage.
Yeah,
and also, so we have Kakashi's backstory, and then we get to see more on this, like, it's more present stuff with Sasuke, but it's not, it's no longer recruiting people, so it's better. And then we get like Jiraiya, we get a Jiraiya backstory. Now, the Jiraiya backstory, like, as I understand it, is like technically like canon filler. Like it's not.
It's mostly canon.
It's like not. It's not all manga material, but it's technically considered the canon backstory. So
isn't it up for the next arc?
They expand on it a bit.
It's coming up.
Yeah, no,
And then
but
basically it does a Jiraiya backstory right before Jiraiya does stuff in like the actual main
yeah,
timeline here, so it kind
right.
of fits it right there.
No, the thing that annoys me about the part we're getting after the Kakashi backstory is that it's basically like eye hacks of the battle, you know?
I don't know what
Because
you're referring
it's,
to.
well, I mean, the
Oh,
Sasuke Itachi thing is like my eye hacks, and these are my eye hacks, and those are my eye hacks. You know,
yeah.
it's
I
like,
mean, it just turns into I Hacks the series after that.
well, yeah,
You activated my trap card.
they're my eyeballs.
It stops being a show about ninjas and starts being a show about people with crazy eyes.
The eyes
I
actually
have
get pretty
special
hilarious
eyes.
looking.
I have special eyes.
My eyes have atoms in
1-800
them.
contacts.
My eyes are shuriken. Fuck.
Actually, in the new series, I think that is like something they do is like they put in
Sure can
special
I?
like contacts in their eyeballs, and like that's how they get powers now.
Oh,
Like
you've got to
now
be fucking
everyone
kidding me.
has eye
That's amazing.
hacks.
That sounds
An-
amazing and terrible at the same time.
No, I
Anyways,
mean it's technically not like eye hacks, it's like wristwatches, but it's still like the same basic idea.
what happened in this week's One Piece episode?
I can't remember because I was kind of dozing through it.
Yeah.
It was kind
No,
of it was
this
also
week,
kind of a nothing episode.
yeah, Luffy zombie woke up. He was
Oh yeah,
hungry.
he ate a lot of food, and there
Yeah.
was an overly long comedy scene of them trying not to get him to eat salted fish.
Yeah, and then Kumasi was finally able. No, actually, Nami and the others fell out of the back of Kumasi.
No,
That was
that
at the
was
end.
last week.
Oh, that yeah, that was last week. But Kumasi got yelled at this week for not telling them about it. And then when he tried to explain that he had tried to tell them, he got yelled at for talking.
That's the
Which
joke.
I find that funny. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's the one Kumasi joke.
I'm trying to remember what happened this episode. Basically,
Hold on, I'm bringing
Or-
up the episode. I'm
Yeah,
bringing it up.
no, it
Ors
was just,
Ors basically ate a bunch, and then he
yeah,
punched a hole in the wall, and now he's just kind of out.
yeah.
And
He's gonna go do. He wants to be king of the pirates.
Oh yeah,
and
it was like
King
okay.
of those pirates.
He
and
just shouts
and
out, "I want to be king of the pirates."
I was actually gonna
That's how we-
I was gonna make a joke about that in the thread, and then he said it like well I guess it was an obvious joke.
Yeah.
Now and then Robin and Frankie met up with Usopp and Chopper, and they're
Right.
off to the boat to
To
get the other
wake
three.
up.
Get back Zoro and Luffy and Sanji.
But
Okay, so here's a short summary.
Also, Nami got kidnapped too.
well,
That was last episode.
yeah, that's how much
I
has
thought
not
that was
happened.
this episode.
Nope.
That's how slow the pacing
You're
is.
just kind of mixing up the recap with this episode.
Oh fuck me.
Okay, so here's a short
Yeah,
summary.
this week was slow.
Here's the short summary. Brook confronts Ryuma, recalling his time on Thriller Bark
Yes.
5 years prior, and his first
That
battle
happened.
with Ryuma, and how he lost to a zombie with his own shadow.
Oh right.
Ryuma mocks
he
Brook
got
for being
wrecked.
so careful about his afro, and the two engage in another battle. Ors, meanwhile, continues to exhibit traits of Luffy as he devours most of Thriller Bark's food and declares his
does that.
desire to be Pirate King.
So I actually said this in the thread, and I totally forgot about it. I
Yeah.
feel like this flashback fight, but like this 5 years ago scene between Ryuma and Brook wasn't really necessary because like we kind of already gathered at this point. Oh, they
Yeah.
clashed in the past, and Brook lost, and
Right.
like I guess now I know he
I-
lost because of his.
I think it's just meant to. I mean, it sort of has two parts. One of it is to sort of hype up Ryuma, in that he's as good a swordsman as Brook is, but his body is better, so he's stronger.
And he also
and
doesn't worry about an afro.
Yeah,
He's
and
not
two
handicapping
is that Brook is really worried about his afro for reasons that have yet to be revealed.
Yes.
Wait, there's more reasons to that?
Yes.
There is.
I guess maybe if that's how he's recognized, and that's like his only human part left is his afro.
You actually got it.
Yeah, that's about it.
I mean, he basically said that in the episode. Like,
Yeah.
this
Did
is- you know, he basically said this is all that's left, and if you cut it off, it's gone for good, type of thing. So
Right.
Okay.
Makes sense.
There's a specific reason he wants to keep it, though.
yeah,
Next week, man. Next week, man.
Yeah, next week is when we're gonna have like a half hour worth of stuff to talk about.
Yep.
Which is why we're doing the podcast on Thursday next week.
So that Seda actually is able to do it.
Yes.
Yep,
I think
that was a lot.
I think I have an idea what it is now, but I don't want to like say it.
Really?
I don't want to verify it. Yeah.
Don't.
Well,
So yeah.
I mean, maybe after we're all
Well, I mean,
live. Just...
and also like I don't have any even if I'm right, I don't have any context or anything. So
Right. Okay. But I think
I still want to hear what your idea of it is, though.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we end.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also because Reggie Ruler doesn't care, right?
Right.
Care about what?
One Piece.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, like, I'm not going to say anything about whether you're right or wrong.
We'll just listen and then snicker silently.
Yes. We'll do
Okay.
that.
So this has been another episode of the ToonamiGAF podcast. Thank you, Seda.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you, B-Dubs.
Hello. Oh, wait,
Really?
that's wrong.
You're welcome.
Wrong.
And thank
Thank
you,
you.
Reggie Ruler.
Eternal praise to the Mountain King.
That's how you do it.
What is that? Oh,
We'll see you on next Thursday for
Alright.
maybe the biggest episode we've done yet.
You guys
I
really
think.
love One Piece, don't you?
it's a really good episode.
This is
This is the big reveal of this arc.
Well, next week we do also have One Punch Man and
I don't think there'll be much to talk about for the first episode of One Punch Man, though.
Yeah, there's not.
It's still a
there's
new
not
show
lot-
premiere.
It is, but there's not a whole lot to talk about for the first episode.
Here's the first episode. Remember when he punched that guy?
Yeah, that's pretty much the first episode. Is we deconstruct the joke and then we talk about how maybe it might get old if it's not done properly. The
Right.
second episode was where we have a bunch of stuff to talk about.
Right. Actual characters.
is this one of our longer podcasts? I feel like we've been talking forever.
Well,
Except
we've
for
only been
10:30.
talking for... Yes, we've actually been talking for almost 2 hours.
You started late because of me, and then
And then Samurai Champloo
Well,
happened.
we talked about Samurai
Yeah.
Champloo for a while, so yeah.
Because it was a
Because it
show
ended.
review of the whole show.
Mhm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, time to go. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.